What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Down 70 bucks today, extending the losing trade streak. Today again had the correct idea. Poor execution, poor management of my trading, poor management of my trades kind of led me to losing some money today. We can just hop right into it. God, bro. So today's Monday. Yesterday was Sunday. Market was obviously closed as the Euro USD pair. Um, and we get a massive new week opening gap. Right out of the gate yesterday. And I knew that this entire gap has to be filled sooner or later. And I told myself yesterday night, if we go into the 4 hour, towards the 4 hour, we were this was like the last hit of that form last night. I was telling myself, okay, so if overnight or if right before New York we're pushing into this new week's opening gap, we push into it and at like 6:30 a.m. Central, right? Like 7 a.m. Central's time is when the Forex market opens up for me. So right before the market opens, I'm telling myself if it's in this new week's opening gap, even slightly, I'm going to be bearish early on for the New York session because I mean, it's gonna react to this imbalance, right? Like if it's filling the new week's opening gap, even if it doesn't fill the entirety of it, if it's already inside that new week's opening gap, I'm gonna assume that it's going to react off of it at least for the first hour or two. And so that's what it did. So if you go into, let's see, the 15 minute, it was right before market opened. Yeah, we were barely tapped into the new week's opening gap here, and I don't really know if this was a good analysis or not because I was this barely tapped in and I fully should have been expecting, or I did expect, um further retracement and further filling in of this gap. But I just thought that we'd have more time suddenly before we shoot up suddenly. I thought we'd fill in, take London lows here, take more low resistance liquidity here, but that's not what happened. And this white line is the midnight opening price, by the way. But yeah, so I was bearish early on, and we were semi correct. After we we react off of this new week's opening gap, and once we make this kind of manipulation move and we take liquidity for this recent high, this previous high, and then we start making movement down, and I see the 5 minute order flow coming in, I get pretty confident that we're going to be able to reach this midnight opening price here. And because of that, I'm looking for entries. And what I've been trying to work on is waiting for the 5 minutes to entirely tell me what the market's going to do. So I use the 5 minute, and even if a 1 minute setup forms, 2 minute setup forms, 3 minute setup forms, I want to wait until a 5 minute setup forms as well. And that's what I do, right? So we get an order block forming here, and then we get a change in state of delivery right here. Right, we get a 5 minute change in state of delivery here. So that's going to tell me that market's going to be looking to head further down. And now all I'm doing is we see a 5 minute fair value gap here, right? Oh, also mistake on this trade. Actually, I take that back. I didn't wait for the 5 minute order flow here. Yeah, I take that back. This trade I remember was, I still rushed this trade. Like, how, bro? How did I rush this trade when it was so obvious? I should have just waited. But yeah, as you can see, I entered off a 3 minute order block was formed. I mean, it wasn't a bad entry. It ended up working out technically, but I mean, not really. But yeah, 3 minute fair value gap formed here. I entered off of that. I thought I had no confirmation after we rejected a bunch. If you go into the 1 minute, we did respect this fair value gap quite a few times here. And because of that, I assumed there would be a safe entry, but that's not the point. I wanted to wait for the 5 minute order flow, and that's not what I did today. So that's one thing I can work on. But going back to the 5 minute, yeah. So I entered off of that, and then we get a change state delivery here. So that was my first trade. I had my first trade in, but then now I want to scale up because I'm greedy, right? I'm a greedy little 18-year-old kid who still has trouble focusing on the money aspect and not the aspect of getting your technical analysis right and knowing where the market's going to head in the next 15 minutes, right? That's what I'm supposed to be focused on, but the little greedy me focus on the green. All right. Because of that, I just had to scale up my size, my contract size for futures, and that's what I try to do. Right. We get a 5 minute change to delivery. It's not a bad trade. We get a fair value gap forming as well, And so all I'm doing now is I'm waiting for this to retrace into this fair value gap zone, but I think we were just under equilib. I think it was here. Yeah, I think we were. No, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was above equilibrium as well. So, I mean, I thought that was gonna be a good entry. And honestly, it invalidated this fair value gap, but it respected these order blocks. I just had a really tight stop loss, and I also did enter off of. I always enter off of just hoping that the fair value gap will hold. That's something I need to work on every single time, or like most of my trades. If I see a retracement back to a former fair value gap, I know a lot of people will do this, and I mean, but it's just kind of risky. Like I just wait. As soon as this hits maybe like the equilibrium of the fair value gap, or maybe like a little bit above like a premium zone, I enter, and I don't wait for that 5 minute candle to close. The 5 minute that's retracing into the fair value gap to close and tell me what it really wants to do. And because of that, it's more of a risky trade. Although, I just it's again, that's just a fear of missing out, right? I have to work on that again because I have a fear of missing out. I'm trying to enter off of a hope of it rejecting and then just crashing instead of waiting for that candle to close and tell me what to do. Because of that, this candle invalidates this fair value gap, and my stop here is again pretty tight at the break-even level of my first trade. Tight stop losses are something that I also need to work on. Because of that, I get wicked out here. I also lose my first trade because I put my first trade to break even. I took my partials here, put my first trade back to break even. I don't know why. I should just lowered it a little bit, de-risked a little, but I decided to break even. And because of that, we get stomped out in both my trades. I go down 70, and then price kind of dumps a little bit. I wouldn't have hit my TP anyways, but maybe I could have, been risk-free by that time. Price was down all the way back here. So yeah, that was my 2 trades today. I didn't think they were terrible trades, to be honest. I really didn't think they were terrible trades. My bias was just a little off. Uh, but I don't know. This move literally came out of nowhere as well. I mean, the only thing is the New Week's opening gap kind of attracting it to that spot, and then we have what, a 15-minute order block here. So I mean, it makes sense, but I thought we just grab some more liquidity maybe here, and then maybe try to make a push towards London lows. Maybe at least grab this low-hanging fruit here, but I mean, I guess we took enough liquidity. Saw some liquidity there. But yeah, lost this trade. Surprisingly, I'm not too mad about it, and that's obviously because I stuck to my rules. This is the difference between me tilting and modding out after taking a trade that was like a C minus B setup at most, winning that trade and then losing it, at the same time. I'm gonna start crashing out. But if I take an A plus setup and I get immediately stopped out, I'm nowhere near as mad as me just making stupid trades. And that's all it is. That's how you risk manage. So I'm not too mad about this. I know I'm still learning. I'm trying to devalue the concept of trading. I think that's really important. I watched the video. I think it was Justin Werlin. To not put so much pressure on this, because once you start bringing in external factors about what trading can do for me and at what point in life I need to be successful at through trading, at what point in life I have to be funded, all that stuff is just gonna bring in extra shit that you don't need, bring emotion into the charts, start rushing you. And because of that, I'm trying to devalue trading a little bit and look at it as just as simple as candles moving on a screen. Right, that's literally all I'm doing. I'm pressing one button, buy or sell, for candles moving on a screen. That's all it is. There's nothing else to it. There's no money related to it. There's nothing cool about it. I'm trying to devalue it a little bit, see if that helps. And so far, it's helping my emotional state a little bit more. So that's something I'd recommend if you guys are kind of having trouble with, I don't know, just being real emotional. But yeah, something that helped me. But other than that, nothing much else. This is my trade recap for February 3rd. Appreciate you for watching. I'll be back. I'll probably hop on the charts tomorrow, Wednesday, not Thursday. And there's high impact news the rest of the week. But yeah, other than that, nothing else. See y'all, and God bless.